Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode. In this episode, we will add a crosshair and a weapon that will be able to shoot at the target you are pointing at in the game and register if you're shooting the target's head or body. We won't be covering multiplayer in this episode, but it will be in one of the future episodes. If you want to have the project open that I have opened just to follow along or to start creating your own online first-person shooter game, then make sure to start watching the playlist card that pops up at the top right now. So I created a bullet using Blender to go with the gun model. The download link for the bullet is down below in the description. Create a new folder called models and another new folder called ammo and drag and drop the bullet.fbx file into the ammo folder. Create a new folder called materials and inside of the folder create a new folder called ammo. Click on the bullet model and click materials and extract materials and go to the materials folder and underneath ammo and select folder. Now that the materials are extracted, make sure to select all three materials, which is the base and mid and top, and reduce smoothness to 0 if it isn't already. Drag the bullet into the hierarchy and resize the bullet if needed, and make sure that the rotation of the bullet is horizontal and the position is zeroed out. Click on untagged at the top and add a tag called bullet. Click on the bullet game object again and change untag to bullet. Once you are done, add a box collider to the game object and a rigid body and adjust the mass to 0.2. The reason for me changing the mass is because we will add force to the bullet. The lower the mass, the less force is needed to make the bullet travel at a certain speed. When you have all these things, make sure to drag the bullet inside of the prefabs folder and select original prefab and delete it from the hierarchy. Now that we have the bullet inside of the project, let us import the guns pack. Link is also in the description. As per normal, take the imported asset and drag it into the imported assets folder. Then we want to import simple crosshair that I created with GIMP. Link is also in the description. Once the crosshair is downloaded, in the textures folder create a new folder called crosshairs and drag and drop the downloaded image into the folder and change the texture type to sprite. We open the UI canvas and create a new image. Rename it to simple crosshair and drag and drop the crosshair 1 sprite image into the source image slot. The crosshair is too big once you drag it in, so let's change the width and height of the image to 40. This will always show in the game for now, as this is a FPS game. But we don't want it to show when you have not spawned yet. So for now, let us drag and drop the UI canvas into the prefabs folder. Delete the UI canvas in the scene and open up the player prefab and rename canvas inside of the player prefab to world canvas and drag and drop in the UI canvas prefab. Then go out of the prefab. When we start the game now and click on host and client, then we will see the crosshair is showing as intended. Stop the game and let us go into the player prefab once again and click on main camera and activate the camera, then go out of the prefab and then drag and drop the player into the hierarchy to see a presentation of what the player will see. Before we continue, let's make our own prefab gun. Open the low poly guns pack we downloaded, open models, guns, and assault 1 or whichever gun you prefer. Click on the gun and go to materials at the top right and drag the material in the folder into the materials slot and hit apply. Drag in the gun into the hierarchy and make sure the transform is default 0 and drag the gun into the prefabs folder and hit original prefab. Now take the gun prefab already in the hierarchy and drag it into the player prefab. While you have the gun selected, make sure you move your mouse cursor over the scene view and press F to go to the selected game object. Now that you can see the object, make sure you press W while still in the scene view to have the move tool selected and move the weapon so that it is in view and where you would like it. The gun I chose was way too big, so to scale, just press R and drag it in the middle to scale the whole object till you are happy. Switch between moving and scaling just to get that perfect position. When you are happy with where the gun is located, Select the player prefab parent and click overrides and apply all and delete the player from the hierarchy. Now if we play the game and press host, then we will see the gun is in our hands and we can move and jump with the gun following us. Now that we have all the visuals, now we want a bullet to get shot when we press the left mouse button. Make sure to open the gun prefab and create a new empty game object and call it bullet emitter. Then place the bullet emitter where the bullets will shoot from by positioning it correctly. Now go to the scripts folder and create a new script called Gun Manager and attach the script to the gun prefab parent. Open up the script and delete the start and update method and create a header of bullet, just so that we know that this is all bullet related. We would like a serialized field transform of bullet emitter for the position of where the bullet will appear. Then serialized field game object of bullet, which will be the bullet prefab. Then serialized field float bullet forward force for how much force we will add to the bullet's rigid body. Now let us create private void update method where we will check if input.getKeyDown keycode.mouse0, which checks if you press the left mouse button, then game object called spawned bullet. Now spawned bullet will equal instantiate bullet, which will be the prefab we want to instantiate, and then bullet emitter dot position and bullet emitter dot rotation as game object. Now that the bullet has spawned, now let us get the rigid body attached to the bullet, and to do this we can then type rigid body and call it bullet rigid body, and then bullet rigid body equals spawned bullet dot get component rigid body. Now for the bullet to move, we need to add the force with bullet rigid body dot add force transform dot forward multiply with bullet forward force. Now our bullet will move but won't disappear from the scene. So then we type destroy spawned bullet after 4 seconds. Head back into Unity and now you will see that Gun Manager has the bullet header with all the components it needs to function. So first we will drag bullet emitter underneath the gun parent into the bullet emitter slot, and then drag the bullet prefab into the bullet slot and set the bullet forward force to 180. Go out of the prefab, and if we play the game and shoot, we will see that the bullet does not really go towards the crosshair and falls down. This depends on the kind of weapon we are using. So this force will almost be like a paintball gun, and you can reposition the gun on the player to get the bullet emitter shoot more closely to the middle of the crosshair. So we are almost done now. Stop playing the game and click on your enemy prefab that you might have. But if you are following along, then use one of the models in the scene. Select the enemy that you want and create 2 empty game objects inside of the object. One object you can call head and the other object you can call body. Inside of the head game object, you need to add a sphere collider component and make sure to tick is trigger. Adjust it and position it to be around the head of the enemy. Then click on add component again and type in headshot trigger and click on create new script. Then in the body game object, you can add a capsule collider for now and make sure to tick is trigger. If you have separate meshes for each game object already, then you can use a mesh collider. Then just like the head object, click on add component again and type in body shot trigger and click on create new script. This is so that we can have 2 types of damage at a later stage. Create a new folder under the scripts folder and call it damage and drag the 2 newly created scripts underneath the folder. Open the headshot trigger script and remove the start and update method and type in onTrigger enter. Choose the first onTrigger enter with collider and other next to it. Inside of the onTrigger method, we type if other, which will be the bullet, dot compare tag and pass in bullet, and this tag which we have set on the bullet prefab itself. If yours is not working, then make sure the bullet tag is spelled correctly and assigned to the bullet. It is also case sensitive. Then debug.log and say headshot was given. And after this, we can destroy other so that the bullet is destroyed on impact. Open up the body shot trigger script and remove the start and update method and call in onTrigger enter event again, and do exactly the same with if other.compare tag bullet then debug.log body shot was given, and then destroy other. Open up the mouse lookat script and add a new serialized field of transform called gun transform. In the update method, copy mycam.transform and paste it below the line. Take out mycam.transform and replace with gun transform. Make sure all scripts are saved and go back into Unity, and make sure to open up the player prefab and drag the gun into the gun transform slot. Go out of the prefab and let us play the game and try shooting our enemy unit. When we shoot our unit, we can see in the console that it registers when we shoot the body and when we shoot the head. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, make sure to like and comment and subscribe down below if you like the content I am releasing to increase that YouTube algorithm goodness. Join the Discord channel if you want to learn more with game development, and if you would just like to join the community or ask for any advice. Check out all the links down below for all of the information, and source code link is also down below. Keep well and see you in the next episode. Cheers.